All right. Well, it's been a little bit, but we're back.
We're back. Well, I mean, granted, well, actually, start the episode officially. Go ahead.
All righty. Well, hi guys. Welcome to the Vmware podcast. I'm Brittany.
I'm Maria. And yeah, I mean, we took a week off. I don't know, life got in the way. It was also Mother's Day.
Yeah.
So me and Brittany were like, all right, we can take a week off.
Yeah. Total transparency. Brittany was like, "Oh crap, it's Sunday."
Yeah, I literally texted her. I was like, what time are you filming today? And she's like, oh, I have things to do with my mom or something. I don't remember. I was like, no, that's
Yeah.
fine. So do I.
Well, because I
Like,
planned out a brunch. Well, you know how everything's still like all crazy and haywire with COVID.
yeah,
So
yeah.
my initial thought was, I want to have a brunch with. I haven't seen my. I'm very close with my mother's sister, my aunt Mary,
Mm-hmm.
and because she lives in Pennsylvania and because of COVID, I hadn't really seen her for like a
Mm-hmm.
year, which is really hard. Like I call her every week and we're always talking,
Yeah.
um, but it's hard not to see her, and she doesn't really like technology. So even video chatting isn't like a thing that we can
It's
do.
not her thing. Yeah, yeah.
So I really wanted to like get to see her and spend time with her. And I have another really awesome aunt that that married my uncle. I was like, I haven't gotten to spend much time with them, and I love spending time with them. So I wanted to do something special for them. But of course, the best laid plans. Every place that like every place that was doing Mother's Day this year, because they didn't get to do it last year, anything that they were doing in person was upcharged like a stupid amount,
That makes sense.
like the brunch events and things like that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So I originally wanted to do that, and they wanted like $100 a head. That's like not including gratuities, and it was like for
Are you
not a lot of
serious?
food. And I was like, no, we're definitely not doing
We're
that.
not doing that. Sorry, not sorry.
And it would have been more stressful because like we're all vaccinated, but like it would have been more stressful having to deal with people and then having to deal with like COVID proximities and all that fun stuff. So I was like, you know what?
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
just gonna order us food and
Mm-hmm.
I'll just bring it to my mom's house and we can all gather there and everything. And we ended up
Yeah.
doing that, but it was like trying to everybody literally, like no pun intended, but everybody and their mother is trying to order food on Mother's Day to like get catering and takeout. So it ended up being
Yeah.
a whole shenanigans. So I was like super stressing about that. And then I finally realized like, oh, it's Sunday.
Yeah. And you're like, oh shit, can we not? Or like, I think you were like,
No, I want to do it later, but that was when you were doing your stuff. So I was like,
I
it's
was like, yeah. Brittany was like, yeah, I'm free like after 7. I was like, oh, my dad's coming over for dinner. Like, I'll see. And I just never texted because it was like, by the time he left, it was like 10 o'clock. I was like, let's not do this.
oh yeah, and Bernie was in bed, so
Yeah. I was like, no, it's okay. So we
it's
just took a
cool.
week off. It's fine. Everyone needs a break at some points, even,
Yeah.
even us. So,
So what's up with life?
um, nothing much. I'm getting back to being a human.
Yay.
I have, my weekends back, obviously, and now I'm like, finally working out again and like and like reading books again and like,
Yay.
being like, a person. Otherwise, then again, I mean like the struggle of going back to society after being I'm not saying like busy season is like the most like traumatic thing in my life, but it's like it's pretty much it's tolling on the body that like going
Yeah.
back into society, it's like, oh right, like I have to like function without worrying about being productive for 80 hours a week. Like it's just like you need a break. It's like I'm reading this book actually. I have it right next to me actually. It's called Goodbye Again by Jenny Sun.
Mm.
I'm making a point during AAPI Heritage Month to only
I love
read
it.
Asian American and Pacific Islander books.
Right.
And he literally is talking about productivity and how if he has a moment of reprieve from anything, he's like itching to be productive. And I'm like, oh, and that's what happens with my brain like post busy season where I get super anxious and like super depressed that like I turn into like I don't know, just like a monster. I'm like, I need to do shit, and a part of me is like, no, you don't. So it's like it's a constant battle. So once I find my balance again, I'll be all right.
It's such a hard your brain versus like your soul wants two different things.
It's pulling two different ways, and then
Yeah.
that's when I isolate myself. I'm like, I can't. Let me just like let me figure my shit out before I like deal with other people.
Yeah. I've been the book that I've been reading is all about like cognitive learning and
Okay.
like our the neuroscience behind learning and how it attaches to our guys. I love this stuff. Like I love brain science. Um and it's interesting because that book talks about it too, like how your brain the simplest way to think about it is your brain is the most happiest. Like your brain is the most happy when you are in process of achieving something,
Makes
right?
sense.
Just
And
like a
all
computer is the most happy when it's like actually
actually doing
programming, it's
something.
doing its job. Like your
Yeah.
brain is like that. So when you stop doing that, your brain starts to, that's usually when your brain starts to think like, oh, I have to be thinking about something. So let me think about all the crap that's sitting back here that you don't want it to think about.
It's so bad when like
Ugh.
I'm like mentally ill to begin with, and also like I'm like a fucking Gemini, so like I get easily bored, so it's like a triple threat.
Yeah.
So it's like I gotta keep doing something.
Yeah. It's interesting. I've been trying to tap into a lot more like that the concept of like making decisions and then not looking back on my decisions to like help.
Oh, do you overthink after you make a decision?
Yeah, or like I like won't make a decision.
Oh, it's yeah, or that. Yeah, that's
Or
also
that,
a
either end of
byproduct.
that.
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
like I'll like the times when I like started to notice like the times when I'm most productive are the times when I just make decisions and don't like linger in them.
Yeah,
And I
you
just like
shouldn't.
do it. And then I feel like then you feel really good about it and then it's over and you feel like you've accomplished something and that's great. But then like sometimes if I make it, especially in times when I make a decision that I know like isn't, I don't want to say isn't a good decision, but like when I actively make decisions to do things that are not going to make me productive, then I
Yeah,
all in like the, well, why did you make that choice? And blah 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 blah. And I think it's really frustrating that our society has like made us into these beings that really literally feel like they always have to be doing something.
yeah.
It's really really
It's
frustrating.
yeah,
And so it's this like, and I agree with you, like I get super bored after a while, but like sometimes you literally just need to do nothing.
oh
Like
yeah, to just
your
to
body can't
reset.
yeah, your body can't
Yeah.
handle anymore. And like you can be doing something without doing something that's going to be overwhelming on your body, right? Like you can be going for a walk or sitting outside, like you're still doing something. But
Uh-huh.
it drives me kind of crazy that I'm getting to the point, like you start to get to the point where like you can't, I think this is why kids are so obsessed with their phones, like they can't just do nothing, like they literally can't not have like any type of stimulation. So I hate when I get like that, when I start
Mm.
to feel like, all right, I can't even sit still, I can't just like
Sit there.
not do anything, which is why like I really have to get, I've been really bad, I haven't been doing my like as much as my meditative yogic practice as I normally
Yeah,
would do.
yeah,
But it's really hard because you have to constantly be checking yourself in it and like constantly trying to
yeah,
not,
yeah.
our society is so bad. Like
Period. Just bad.
it is, it's just so bad, it's so hard. And I was
Yeah,
like,
I
God,
like meditated for a hot minute. I like couldn't do it
love
for
it,
more than like 2 minutes or something.
it's
Because
so
I
good.
literally it's literally just sitting there. I literally just sat and just like closed my eyes. I was like, all right, you're gonna do this, even if it's like for a minute. If you open your eyes in a minute, at least you did something or did
Yeah.
nothing. Really, it's
Do you
doing
you
nothing.
you don't watch Bob's Burgers, right?
Not no. I've only seen a few episodes here and there.
So I love this show because they do a lot of like, this is very relevant, it's funny, but haha, because it's true kind of stuff.
Okay.
But they really pissed me off in one, because you know how I am. And they did like an episode on like where they like tapped into meditation and they made it seem like it was the easiest thing in the world to
Of
do.
course.
It made me so angry.
Yeah, yeah.
It's I feel like, and even now it's becoming like more mainstream and we tell people like, oh, you need to meditate. Like,
But do they know what that means? I
right.
don't
And like the benefits are amazing. The benefits are
right.
amazing, but it takes people lifetimes to actually like master doing
Yeah.
it. And like
Yeah.
even on days when I feel like, oh, like that was nice, like I still wasn't actually doing it. Like there's
Yeah. Right.
the
Exactly.
whole point of it is for you to like tap into that higher power and be like fully present, and like it's not like you're turning down
It's
or like
so
taking a
hard.
nap. It's like
It's hard
it's
being fully present. Like that's
it's
the
so
whole
funny.
issue.
So you've taken a yoga class before, right?
Like okay, I've taken like
Are you familiar?
online YouTube
That's
tutorial
no, no,
like
no. That's okay.
yoga
That's fine.
classes.
So like, there's a at the end of a yoga class, the concept of shavasana, it
Hmm.
literally translates to like dead. Like you're practicing being dead. Like that's what shavasana
Bless.
is.
You know,
Like
as a mentally ill person, bless.
that's the idea of what it is. You're prepared. The whole concept of it is like you did all of your work and you're preparing now for like what comes next. Like you're releasing your
Uh-huh.
body and letting your soldiers go. And so many people again don't practice, and I have fallen into this sometimes too, like so many people don't understand, like you don't just like go to sleep. Like a lot of people do just go to sleep, but you don't just like go to sleep.
Yeah.
like this interesting state of being that I never can like tell people about. They have to experience it. So I was giving a yoga class to like some of the freshmen that I work with,
Mhm.
and because they were doing a show and they were all exhausted. And we went like through a whole class and we were in Shavasana. And it was so funny because there's always one person when I teach a class who like can't come out of it on their own. Like they
Mm.
literally need to be woken up. And
Mhm.
I like went over and was like, everyone woke up and was like looking at her and she looked like she was dead. Like she looked like she was dead. And like I tapped her on the
Poor
leg
kid. Yeah.
and like it took her a hot second to like come out of it. And she like
Uh-huh.
looked at me and she was like, that was the weirdest thing that's ever happened to me before. And I was like, tell us about it. Like what happened?
Nice.
She was like,
Yeah.
I was awake and like everyone was in class and we were there. And she was like, and I heard you calling me, but I couldn't like wake up.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
that's like this that's the like and that's what a meditative state is like. You're in this, you're actually like living in your
Mhm.
subconscious for a little bit
Mm.
and you're like out of your
So she
body,
did
but
it
you're
right.
still there. Right.
Yeah.
I mean, she didn't know what was going on.
Of
I think
course, but
too,
like
it's also like real it's much easier to get to that place when you're kind of like exhausted because then you literally start to shut
you
down
literally,
your
yeah.
subconscious is still
Yeah.
going. So I think that helped her. But it was funny because she was like, she was like, it was a little scary because like I couldn't.
Especially if she didn't know what she was doing or
Right.
like
She's like, I
what was
couldn't.
happening.
She's like, I felt you like on like my like touch my leg and like I heard your voice, but I couldn't. It took me a second to come out of it. Like that's you like tapping into that, and like it's like being really really exhausted is like a way sometimes you get into like hallucinogenic like it feels
Yeah.
kind of weird out of body experience,
Yeah.
but like that's the point when the reason why it's so beneficial is because your body
Yeah.
goes into sleep mode and starts doing all the regeneration and all the stuff that we need to
Mm.
make in that moment. But like your brain is starting to process things and
Mhm.
you're detaching from it. So and it doesn't, it's not like an easy thing to do. It is really beneficial. But the episode of Bob's Burgers made it seem like, oh, Bob did it in like his first try and he felt great and he was a totally different person
And
after.
you wish, yeah, like
Oh
people
my
like
gosh.
it's not that hard. Or, like it's not that hard. It's not that easy. That's the
No, it's
thing.
not.
Like yeah, I can say I meditated for a minute, but like really I was just like trying to practice being present. Like
Right. Which is hard enough in and of itself. But that's why I like this book that I'm reading because it talks a lot more about like obviously it goes into like the biology of like the neurons and the way your brain works and all this really cool stuff. But it talks a lot about like the key to like your life success, like of you getting the most out of your life that you want, is to be able to learn how to master your mind and master your thinking. So
yeah,
I've
that
been
makes sense.
trying to like really even crap that I don't want to do, where my inner voice is like, oh, I don't want to make the choice. Like I know I have to do this. I don't want to make the choice to do this because it's gonna suck.
Just do it.
I literally just tell myself like, no, you made a decision. Like shut up. Like that's
Yeah.
it. Just do it.
It's really just rewiring your thought process. It's really fucking annoying.
Yeah.
I was
And
talking to a
it's
couple of
hard.
friends the other day and they're having like it's just the 20s, like being in your 20s it's just like such a fucking hard decade anyway. Just like managing anxiety and like decision making and all that shit. I was like, you just gotta do it. Like at one point you just have to like shut up and just be like, I just do it, you know or like just even just like it sounds stupid to say it, but like it works, like pep talks to yourself every morning. You're like, no, you're
Dude.
fine. Yeah, it's just so like I was telling them
It's
about
not
it.
stupid though, because if you
It's
don't
not,
say it to
no.
yourself, other shit's gonna get in there whether you want it to or not.
Yeah, no, it's not. I mean, like I phrase it like it sounds stupid because like being someone that came from that like mindset, it sounds stupid.
Well, yeah. And also, are you maybe, I don't know if you're anything like me, but when I give myself a pep talk, I'm much better at it now. But if
Yeah.
somebody else tries to give me a pep talk, I'm
Don't talk to me.
immediately like, no, 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 no,
I'm
no.
like, don't fucking talk to me.
I don't take compliments well. I
Nope.
don't take pep talks well.
Nope.
I don't take any of that. And I like,
And yeah.
I do it better to myself now. I can listen to my own because I believe my own voice because
Yeah,
you
same.
know what I mean? Like I've gotten to that point where I can actually believe the things that I say, which is
Hmm.
dangerous when I start to say bad stuff. But when somebody else, and I know this of myself, and I like, and there was a moment when we were talking to Dan and I have people that we work with who we're in partnership with, and they like kind of coach us, and they're like our
Hmm.
mentors, right?
Hmm.
And I can feel it in myself, and like I noticed like one of the very first times that they were like pep talking and saying all these good things, I like felt, me in my body language, I felt
Yeah.
myself literally be like.
Crawl into yourself. Yeah,
I was like recoiling.
yeah.
And I like noticed it and I was like, oh my gosh. And like I could feel like my face starting to shrivel.
Yeah.
Like I had to like stop and be like, oh my goodness, I am so sorry. Like I'm not doing this because you're saying anything. I just don't know how to do this well. So like in my head, I'm just saying like a bunch of crap about like the BS of why this is being said and like saying
Yeah, it's
undoing everything that you're saying to me right now. But please know I'm trying to get better at being able to.
yeah, no, I get it's just cringeworthy to me still. I'm just like, please don't.
But I don't know. It's
I
like
talk
so
wait, well,
curious where it comes from.
well, I talk to Ashley about this all the time. I'm like, I hope no one I don't want anyone to perceive me ever. Like that's the thing.
Say nothing.
Just I'm not here. Like
Oh, good Lord.
don't say my name. Like that freaks me out sometimes too. I'm like, oh, I exist as a person. So then when people are like
Mm,
perceiving me as doing a good job or a bad job, I'm like, oh, like this is weird. You know, that's how I feel. So like whenever like
right.
work evaluations come and like it's literally just half an hour of someone just talking about me to me, I'm just like, please stop. Can I just read it and then have us can I sign it and then just
Right. And
leave?
then just like give me my evaluation form and
Yeah, just
let's
like
have the
I read
conversation.
it. I have no questions. Can we end this meeting? Like
It's just it's so
so that's my mindset. I'm like, please don't perceive me. I will perceive myself and I'll give myself a pep talk if need be.
I would rather be criticized
Mm-hmm.
and
Then praised.
yeah.
Yeah, me too.
And I
Tell
think
me,
it's just like
tell me like the bad stuff,
it's
which
a
is so bad, right?
comfort. It's a
Which is
comfort.
so bad,
I'm
right?
more comfortable, which doesn't say a lot about like
Yeah, no, it
our
doesn't say
our
much.
growing up time, but like it is
Right, right.
a comfortable state to take criticism and just deal with it. And I feel like also when
It
people
yeah.
throw compliment, and this is probably not necessarily a good thing either, but like when people throw compliments, and this is a big part of what I'm trying to work on in the way that I give feedback about dance as well, specifically.
Hmm.
People give such generic compliments
Oh
or
my
like
god, yeah.
things that I feel like
You can just literally
why
roll
are
the
you
dice
giving
and
me a
then here's
compliment on this? Right. Like
yeah.
it's not something that I've like done. You know what I mean? So
Uh-huh.
what but when people give me like a critique or and I don't
Hmm.
like critiques. I feel like there's a difference between criticism and feedback. Criticism is like heavily
Feedback is a
opinionated and
much better
usually
word.
judgmental. Yeah,
Yeah.
feedback is like trying
Yeah,
to
work
improve it.
feedback. It's
Right.
like for
Yeah.
work for me. It's like it's feedback. It's not a criticism of like
Right.
my personality or work,
There shouldn't
whatever.
be an
Yeah.
opinion involved. It should be like based off of something, right?
Right. It's
But
not yeah, correct.
I
Yeah, go
feel like
ahead.
when I get feedback, it gives me something to focus on and improving, which is like a really big driving goal that I constantly want to be improving as a person. So I feel like I can attach to that and I'm okay with it being a not necessarily a negative thing because feedback doesn't have to be negative, but like I'm
No, it's
okay
just
with it
like here
not being a fluffy compliment because I can do something about it.
I feel like
Doing with a
the
fluffy compliment.
yeah, I don't know how to deal with compliments, but it's taken me even just getting feedback has taken me a while to be fine with. Like my first
It,
couple of years like working, like I'd be like, "Oh, like I suck at my job. Like this sucks." Like, but no, it's because it was my first second year working
right,
and
right.
I didn't know anything. So now feedback is more like, "Oh, they can see my potential. It's just like here's the next step." Like, you know,
Right, here's
I
the
take
right
it
up
that
level.
way. Yeah,
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 it was
yeah.
so hard to
Yeah.
I had to rethink the way that I saw and understood what feedback was because the
Yeah.
reason why I could interchange criticism and feedback is because
Mhm.
the dance world was straight criticism. There was especially
Oh,
the
I'm
younger,
sure.
like at a young it was a lot less like the intended goal. So like when you're talking about feedback, right, and somebody actually wanting to guide you to develop yourself as a person, it's usually like a directed end goal that's for your benefit and like
Mhm.
you don't necessarily know what the outcome is but like you see the trajectory of development and like you're trying to bring out the best in
Yeah.
that person, right? That's how I see real feedback as being.
Correct. It's just like
But
your mentor telling you, "All right, you're on the right track. Here's the next step." It
and it's
literally that's what it is.
guided by like the mentee, right? Like it's guided by
Yeah.
it's not like the mentor is trying to dictate what they want to get out of you. Like the mentee
No,
has
it's whatever you
to choose
produce.
whatever
Yeah.
that path is, right?
Yeah.
um but that's not what happens in the dance world a lot of the times. At least in the younger, a little older, it's a little different. But for the youth experience, a lot of it is like we expect a very specific outcome from you, and if you don't hit that image, we're gonna just criticize you for it. Like this
It's
is what
just like
you're not doing
the
to not get
fundamentals and
right.
stuff.
Like
Yeah.
the it's blatant criticism, and then it's like, oh well, if you don't look like this is my opinion of you because of that.
Hmm. I feel
So
like that's just with any. I'll say even like my first year, like a first year. If you're coming in as an entry level, just like job, I feel like you just need the fundamentals. And if you're
Right.
not hitting those fundamentals, then that's straight just like you have to
Right.
do this.
But there's
Yeah.
a difference in like you have to do this because we have a bigger rubric that says like this is what's
Mm.
needed for you to get here versus like this
Uh-huh.
is my opinion of where you should
Oh.
be. You're not there yet.
Okay, okay, okay.
You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
there is
A
no
subtle difference.
and there is no overarching body that actually says like yay or nay. It's
Yeah.
very of everyone's opinion because it's an art form.
True.
So it took me a long time to have to understand that like you shouldn't like and this is with anything, right? You shouldn't just look at something and be like this is good or this is bad and then just not say anything because then they attach people choose whether they are good or bad based on what you're saying. So instead of saying like, "Oh, that was beautiful," I try to say like, "You did this well," which made this look like trying to be more specific in the
More
feedback that I'm
specific.
giving.
Yeah,
And
agreed.
like even if like and like okay, so this didn't work out for you. Like what happened? Maybe we should try it this way. Like trying to be more
It's
like
opening up the dialogue.
right and like being more specific,
Yeah.
right? And like letting the person who is taking the feedback kind of pick and choose and run with things. And
Mm-hmm.
it took me a really long time to do that when I was so used to hearing like no this is bad and this is good. And that's the I've been I think I had brought this up in like a previous
Mm-hmm.
episode when we were talking about like the very direct statements of like telling a kid like they're bad or they're good,
Yeah.
you're
Yeah.
stupid or you're smart.
Yeah.
I feel like I heard a lot of that growing in different like places growing up and it was always in comparison to something else, which is where like perfect example, there was a lot of like my brother was smart and by comparison I was stupid. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
Or
Yeah.
like this person did something this really well and by comparison I was less than. And like it
Or
broke down
it's funny. Sorry, it's funny because it
God.
can go either way. Like so and so is stupid. Like not I don't say stupid, but like not smarter than you. Like and then mentally for me, it's like, oh, then I should keep up. Like I should keep this up, which
Right.
then
Like this is
takes
a
the
good
same
thing.
toll.
Right?
Yeah, but it still takes
and
the
it's
same
and
toll.
it like goes back to the same thing like within issues within genders, right?
Yeah.
This person's pretty or this person's not as pretty as you or
Mm-hmm.
like and it's like very very heavily loaded words that are not
Yeah.
unpacked and then we like attach to them and then when someone starts to use those as like when someone just gives you straight compliment without like any comparison or like just based off of you like right in the moment you're like okay. Right.
Thanks,
And
I
then
guess.
and
Yeah.
what you brought up a really good point. It's like the matter of wondering, like, do I, do I not believe it's true because there's no comparison for me to like actually look at and be like, nope, I can, you know what I mean?
Yeah. 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 I know what you mean. It's
When
just
someone's just like, oh, you're smart. And I'm like, what? But versus somebody being like, oh, you're smarter than this person. Then I can look at that person and be like, well, that person's not smart. So great.
and
That
you're like, yeah, because XYZ,
you know what I
whatever
mean? Like there's
excuse you
nothing
can give
for
them.
my
Yeah.
brain to like attach to actually believe in, which is like another greater thing, right? It like connects all the way back to like you shouldn't have to see something to believe it. You shouldn't have to make those comparisons to believe it. So now when people give me compliments, I try really hard to be like, take a deep breath and be like, thank you. And just not say anything else and not look really uncomfortable.
So cringy. Um, there was a TikTok video. This relates to this. Um, they took like it was a stupid analogy. That's really stupid. Actually, it was really revealing. It was like, all right, if I take my phone and I take it out of the screen, does my phone still exist? Like object permanence, right? Like, duh,
Right, right.
obviously it still exists. But then she flipped it. She was like, all right, if someone says like I love you and then they leave, do they still love you? And then sometimes like people are like, no, they don't. Like emotional permanence. Like,
Ooh.
yeah, right. And this is like just going back to like people saying like, oh, you're really pretty or you're really smart. Like, do they when they leave and they don't say that? Like, do you still feel that way? Like, it just took me to a spiral the other day. I was like, oh, mind blown. I was like, oh my god. So like taking compliments.
Ooh, okay. Can we go back
Yeah,
to
we can unpack this, right? But like
how
just going back to your whole compliment thing, this is why I don't take compliments well, because it's like if you don't tell me this consistently, I don't believe it.
right? And I'm
And
the
then
same way.
all
And
of a
that means
sudden, yeah.
that means like words of affirmation are one of your love languages.
Yeah, it's like my second.
Because I know it's for me too. Um,
But yeah, you want to go back and unpack that
well,
because I
okay.
just
Can
remembered
we?
this video.
Okay. So wait, did you make up the term emotional permanence or is
No,
that
they did.
What
Whatever video that was.
can
Yeah.
we make it like a thing? Because we need to define this.
Okay. I was like, do you want me to Google it while you unprocess or unpack stuff? I'll Google it for
Yeah,
you.
like because if you think about okay, so let's take object permanence, right? Which is literally what you were talking about in relation to it. It's if an object is not in your sight and you cannot see it, it does not exist, right? It's like that
Hmm.
thing that babies deal with.
Yeah, they're like they literally said like obviously it exists unless you're like an infant or a golden retriever. Literally, that's verbatim what she said.
Right.
I have to send you that video.
Out of sight, out of mind. Got it.
Right. And she's like, you're not. If you're watching the video, you're probably not. So like that exists. But then she went on was like, all right, if someone says I love
So
you, but then they leave.
emotional, the equivalent of that in an emotional sense would be if it's not actually being like shown or
Oop.
demonstrated in some way, it doesn't exist.
Or even just told. I think her whole point was just like being told
Like
that.
the
Yeah.
physical
I'm
verbal aspect of
literally
it.
gonna send
Sure,
you the
it could be
video.
relevant with like physical and act, like you know what I mean. The other
Yeah,
language
yeah.
of
The other. But I think for her purpose of that
love.
video, it was just like
No,
verbally like mhm,
I understand. I'm
yeah, yeah.
just this is literally so
Mind
true
blowing,
with the
isn't
way
it?
that my brain works is that if it's not in the moment, if I don't hear it, see it
Mm-hmm.
with one, especially with emotion, right? And then that's what
Mm-hmm.
sucks too, right? If you think about this explains so many things.
Yeah.
If you think about people who are only used to receiving any form of attention, right? If you consider attention as love, right? The misconstruing of negative attention being some type of form of love and then transposing that into like a toxic relationship and being okay with it because at least you're getting some type of attention.
Yeah, the
Not,
codependency of like uh
yeah,
getting
it's like
that
what is present and that's what you've convoluted into it's a sign of love because it's there and it exists versus you
feeling it.
thinking like right or versus you facing the reality of being like oh there is no love here and having to deal with the pain of that.
Hmm.
It's
Yeah, and just like it
blowing my brain up right
yeah, it's just like an instant gratification whatever like you're yeah, I know what you
now.
mean.
You're
I
holding
have
on
to
to it for dear life.
I have to find it. I sorry, I was like looking through my TikTok. I can't find it right now, but I'll have to send it to you because like it was
We'll
just so
have to
mind
share
blowing.
it with this the episode.
Yeah, yeah. I did just quickly Google
And what does it
emotional
say?
permanence. Um, it there's no like defines like there's no like dictionary.com like definition, but there are just different articles talking about it. So it's basically the
Mm,
same thing where it's like emotional permanence is the ability to understand that emotions continue to exist even when they cannot be observed. So it's literally like object
like
permanence,
the
but
number way to
emotionally.
right the number way to like my the first thing that comes to my brain when you bring up the idea is like when you love somebody right or
Hmm.
and they pass away that love doesn't just go away.
Right. No. Yeah. But I think that's for some reason that's easier to understand because the person's not here, right?
Truth, truth.
The person's not
And
here,
like
so
the
you can just
active attention kind of thing.
right because you can't like
Yeah.
they can't physically do it anymore. So it's like your brain is just like no, but they you still love them, with the memories of them. I think it's harder for people because people are still here and you still have relations with people, and if they don't actively do something, you're just like, what the fuck, like
I feel like COVID's been such a good, at least for me personally, I can't speak for everybody, but like being somebody who struggles with that, I feel like being in a situation where you're like, when our whole society is about like being in everyone's face as much as possible to show that you're there and you care, when the world takes the step in a different direction and you don't have the choice to do that in certain ways anymore, you
the
have to
forced
start
change.
realizing like yeah like you have to start realizing like oh no like this person like we still have a relationship and I still care about this person, it's just that like things are it has to look different than it did.
Hmm. Hmm. Right, and like I mean, yeah, no, that makes sense. Like especially during COVID, like yeah, that probably is how my brain went. Like I'm much better at it now.
Yeah, like I don't get mad at people for not texting or showing up or like you know
Yeah,
what I
I
mean,
use
like I don't
yeah.
I also have shrunken my circle a lot in the
Yeah,
last
that helps too.
year or two, and not even like and it's not to say like I don't want to say like I don't care about more like people, it's just that
But
like
you have
stopped I've stopped expecting or like needing any type of emotion from like there are like only like four or five people that I really actually care about having a connection with. Everybody
yeah,
else
otherwise
like
like
I love that. I would love it if we could, but like it's not going to be devastating to me if we don't. And I think I've tried really hard to be better about only kind of like attaching myself to that emotional relationship with the people who I know are going to reciprocate.
Yeah, no, because yeah, I mean, just I feel like when we were younger, it was complete opposite.
Right. And it's like this was a moment where it was like you have to figure either you figure this out or like you just get left high and dry through COVID and
Yeah,
feel like it's something that you've done.
and like having a minimal, like just a small friend circle anyway is probably beneficial for, I want to say, the both of us. I can't say for everyone because like we only have so much of ourselves to give anyway.
It's it's very I don't know, it's very interesting. It's so much more calm to be on the other side of that um, and not worrying about it. Like they're like for a perfect example, one of the people who's gonna be coming on as a guest in
Hmm.
this show soon is my friend Dara, and I will like I literally we had a very brief time like in each other's lives because of the way that our lives worked. But I do consider her a friend because we made a connection like instantly and had conversations with each other that either like both of us had probably never had with other people before, and we still like have these conversations every once in a while. Like once in a blue moon, we'll talk, but that still like is important and still matters to me, right? And I
Hmm.
don't feel like I need to be like constantly worrying about, oh my gosh, I didn't text. Like even somebody else or somebody that I was talking to from school who like again really good like we were close when we were together and now we aren't together anymore. So we just have like casual conversations. And
Yeah.
even my friend Joy has to come on this. My Joy hasn't come on the show yet, right? I don't think so.
No. No.
Joy has to come on the show. I can't even call her my friend because she's literally my sibling. Um, but I've known her since I was like 9, right? When I moved to town. Like I've known her since I
Yes.
was 9, and we went through some shit as kids. And she lives in like all over the states and
Hmm.
a bunch of stuff going on in both of our lives. And like she texted me and I texted her back, and then we were starting conversation. And I didn't text her back for 3 days, and she was like, "Don't worry, love. Like this is what we do. Like we text,
Yeah.
we can text, and like all that matters is
Yeah.
that we're in communication with each other." And it doesn't when you can hit a point where you have a friendship where like space and time
Don't
just
exist.
interfere, yeah, and
Yeah.
you can just be friends and whatever happens happens. um it is the most beautiful thing in the world
Yeah.
because
It's
then
it's
you
one
can
less
really
burden, really.
yeah, and you can literally feel connected to people without like worrying about being like you know it's a different
No, I
sensation.
know what
I
you mean.
don't know how to
And
explain it.
it's,
Like you
I
feel like
get
you're
it
walking around
because
alone.
I no, I get it because I used to be that person where like if someone didn't text me like instantaneously, like I'd be like, "What the is this?" Like what like because like I'm literally, for me, my mentality was like, "All right, I'm texting you instantly back. What could they possibly be doing if they literally just texted me 5 seconds ago and then just left me on whatever?" But with the rewiring of her brain and like figure out my mental illness, it's like people have fucking lives. Like if they want to talk to you, they'll talk to you. Like, whatever. So when it comes to like friends and like them not answering for like 3 days or whatever, like I don't care because I get it now. So it's like it
Dude,
depends on
I'm
the
the
other
worst at
person.
that.
At
I have gotten so bad at that now.
what?
At okay, so I was just having this conversation with one of the people that I was talking about just now,
Yeah.
and we were having a full-on conversation about how neither one of us like looks at our phone, and
Yeah, like
it's really
yeah.
hard for us to care. Like, I'm like not mad about it, just being like, this is funny, but like we're starting a conversation that we started like 4 days ago because
Yeah.
neither one of us look at our phone enough. But I was saying how I don't, and and I have guilt about this. Oh my god, this is why I hate our society so much. I am very much whatever I'm doing in the moment, I want to be there. Like I don't like being distracted by technology. Like it drives me up
Yeah, it's
a
not,
wall.
yeah, yeah, for sure.
And because I'm constantly like doing stuff throughout the day, that requires me to not only like give 100% of my attention and energy to people, but I also do have to play with technology through all of that. I will see a message and literally choose to not like
Oh,
engage with
I
it for
I
days.
I have maybe 3 unreads right now. Or like I I get the notification, I just like, all right, do this later or whatever. I leave
Yep.
it. I leave them undelivered because like, and I used to be the one to be
Oh,
like, "Oh,
you
I saw a
see,
message.
you
I
have an
need a I
iPhone,
need."
so your iPhone gives you away. That's another reason why I don't love.
Well, Well, okay. Anyways, so I see them as like before I was mentally very unstable. I would see the message. I don't care if I was in a bad mood or if I was not even 100% paying attention. I would instantly message them back, and that's not good for anyone, really, honestly. Now, if I see it, I don't feel like answering because I'm not in the mood or if I don't want to continue that conversation, I'll just leave them until I have the fucking energy to do it.
Yeah, and that was me this morning. I got
Yeah,
back to literally, and I kid you not, an entire week's worth of text messages that I
girl.
like just wasn't responding. And it's not like a
Because then that gets overwhelming in itself too. You
and
have to play
that's
a fine line with
and
yourself.
it's
It's like
super
how many
frustrating.
unreads? It's like how many unreads do I go until I hit that fine line and then I go
Right.
insane?
And it's frustrating because I it's not something that you feel like you can have the space to do when it's like people that work with you or like that like are my clients text me. I feel like I can't.
Yeah, if it's a work obligation,
But I
that's a whole
got
different story.
really, really, really good at setting like specific work hours for myself where like if a client texts me and like I can't answer back until like, 8 o'clock, I'm not answering back that day. Like
Yeah, and
I have to set those boundaries for myself. And I honestly, I literally, my mother gets mad at me all the time. So like the time when the morning when my father had his like
oh
like major
god,
heart attack issue
yeah,
situation, I don't leave my phone on overnight. I
dude.
can't.
Okay,
I cannot leave my phone on overnight because
so you
it
turn it
will
off overnight?
I'll hear it in my sleep and I will go to the worst
Like,
place.
do you put it on silent or do you turn it off?
No,
Off.
no, it's off.
Bless. Okay, you're one of the very
Off
few
every
people,
night.
if in
And
the
Dan
world, to
thinks
do this.
I use a separate phone for my alarm. Like doesn't have service.
So, like, your mother was probably pissed.
Right. So wait.
Yeah,
So it's gotten to the point now where she calls me and then she calls Dan, obviously, because his phone
of
is always
course.
on.
Yeah,
And then Dan has to wake up and deal with it.
poor Dan. But
um,
like, that's the boundary you chose to put up. Whatever, fine.
and I started doing that years ago because I know that if I don't do that, I'm not going to sleep. I will stay on my phone. I will look through stuff. I'll be texting people. Like I will do that up until 2 in the morning. And I cannot survive doing that. Now, to answer everybody's question, right? With the question that I get all the time, which is like,
Mm-hmm.
what happens in the case of emergency? Like, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. But and maybe this will be different when I have kids, right? And I have like dependents and people who
That's
I
what
have
they
to
all
like
say. Yeah,
worry
yeah, yeah.
about. But like what used to happen before we had cell phones and before we had landlines? Like people figure it out, you find out the next day. Like and and I
Fair.
I just don't and and this is coming from somebody who literally feels like I literally just found out that one of my cousins pregnant. I'm always the last person to know everything in my family. Like always, like the good news.
Clearly.
So like this comes from the person who like always feels like they're missing the information, and it's not because I keep my phone off at night. Nothing ever happens then. But
Hmm.
I can't do it. I can't keep my phone on at night because then I'll constantly be like, oh my god, did I? I'll wake up in the middle of the night. Even I'll be here thinking that I hear it ringing when it's not.
I get it. Because when my alarm goes off, sometimes I'm like checking my notifications, see if I missed anything,
Right? No, that's terrible.
which is
I
like
would never get out of bed.
anxiety inducing in itself.
So I can't. I just that's the one
So
thing.
you really have a separate phone for your
Oh yeah, I use like my old cell phone for my alarm.
get an alarm clock.
No, I hate the sound of those. I can't deal with the
Oh,
me me me. I used to have one of the ones that you like attach an iPod to, and it used to like play
yeah,
some
like the
music.
speaker things, and you would
Um,
play a song and it would
yeah,
whatever.
but now I don't. Now I just use an old phone. I don't care,
You're literally probably one out of like a million.
dude. I can't. This is. I try to tell people all the time that I was born in the wrong timeline. Like I
Yes,
was not.
and yeah,
I'm
yeah,
not meant to be doing
yeah.
this. I'm really
No,
not meant to be doing. I 100%
no.
know it, and I'm dealing with it. But I was a child. Like I should be in my 70s or 80s right now and ready to move on with my life. Like,
Yeah, to
with
your
my
next life.
existence. I am not. I'm not meant to be. One of my students the other day was like asking me about like saying, "Are we what generation are we?"
Millennials.
We are okay, cool. I never can get it straight.
Wait, can I pause before you go? Did you know that this was an article again? Um, the millennials born in the 80s. So it's like the millennial time span is like if you're born from like 1980 or something to like 97 or something, whatever it is, right? The
Okay.
people that the millennials born in the 80s, they're these people were calling them geriatric millennials, and I started dying.
Ouch. Like, ouch. Like, straight up ouch. Like, I'm not even, but
No,
ouch.
same. I'm not even, but I'm like, that's fucked up.
That's
Geriatric molest.
rude.
Anyways,
That's
go
so
on.
rude.
It was literally on Twitter and everyone was making a meme out of it. I was like, and they were like, so I'm a geriatric millennial. This is bullshit. I just started laughing.
I literally would give up. I would just
Yeah, I'd be like,
I
I'm
don't
out.
care
Peace out.
what generation I am. But
Anyway,
my
so we're
friend was
millennials. Go
like
on.
asking me these questions. Like, apparently there's a bunch of stuff on TikTok about like millennials. You know how
Yeah, you're not really into
wonderfully
TikTok.
attached I am to all of this.
Yeah.
And it was asking me all of these questions about like this is what millennials are defined as. Like, do you do this? Do you do this? Do you do this? Do you do this? And like I was super not paying attention. I was just kind of like letting them go. And I kept saying like I didn't know that this is what we were talking about, but they were just asking me all of these questions. And I was like, no, I don't do any of those things. And they were like, are you actually a millennial? And I was like, what?
No, I'm
And they're like, you don't do any of the like none of these like millennial things like relate to you. And I was like, guys, I was born in the wrong generation. Like,
clearly. And like, I mean, then again, kids like to put people on, not just Gen
well,
Z
no, they
kids,
like
just
to
kids in general.
they like to no,
They
that's
like
their
to
like
define
essentially
their,
teenagers,
yeah,
right? That's why they
yeah,
want to define things. But after like the
right.
conversation, I was like going back and like ruminating on all of this stuff, and I was like, oh god, this really does.
Yeah, you're not supposed to be here. Technology is not really your friend, honestly.
No, no. Mm-mm.
I just can't believe that you turn off your phone. Like I just can't. I just and because I'm
And
so
now it's funny, guys, because Maria's gonna be like up till 2 o'clock one day, and she's gonna be like, I don't believe that she actually shuts her phone off, and she's gonna call me, and it's gonna go straight to voicemail. And she's gonna be like, damn.
I'm no I number one, no, I will not call. I I refuse to call anyone past midnight. Nope, not even past midnight. If
I
it's
just
like
don't.
10
I feel
p.m.,
like the only honestly, okay, if there is some situation that happens
like if I am
anytime
dying,
after 11 o'clock,
people
I
can
should
figure it
be
out.
the person you call anyway. You should be calling the ambulance. You should
Correct.
be calling 911 is more likely the first thing that you should be doing.
Yes, and you're just gonna hear the story afterwards.
And I'm sorry, but also in an emergency situation, there's nothing that I can do to make a difference anyway. That's the only
Yeah.
time you're calling me is if it's an emergency. It's just going to stress me out and make me sick. And then, being the person that I am, I'm just going to feel guilty about the fact that I can't do anything, or I'll try to get to wherever I need to be at that time, and then I'll kill myself. So the this is the
Lord have mercy.
this is the thought process that I've had about all of this. And in my mind, as my last decision was, well, none of that seems worth it. So
Mm-hmm.
well,
So
I
you're just gonna turn
can't
off
do
your
anything
phone.
about you guys. You've heard the saying that you can't nothing good happens after what is it, 2 a.m., right?
Literally 2 a.m. Yeah.
Nothing good
Yeah.
happens after 2 a.m. In my mind, nothing good happens after 11 p.m. I'm gonna be in bed,
Honestly,
and it is
it's
what
like
it is.
10 p.m. From the hours 10 to 5. If
I
things are
just
happening
I just
around
I
that time period, I mean, honestly, like I'm not a normal person, so I'm gonna say like 10 to like 9 because I don't get up till like 9. um, but from 10 to 5, you probably shouldn't be calling me, unless of course it's a like
or
your art.
texting me or on my social media or doing and I will
Because
get back to you, I promise.
I've been that person to text at like 2 o'clock in the morning, and now I'm just like I can't believe that I was that person. Like, and just not even an emergency, but then just having the act of waking up to a text like that, like a fucking like SOS, like, but then I'm like, oh no, I'm fine. It's just so anxiety inducing that I can't believe I
That's what
did
I'm
that to people.
saying, right? It's like
Yeah, no, 100%. Now I'm just like, this is stupid. Let me just go to sleep and you know
yeah,
do
I'm
whatever
sorry
I gotta do.
guys, but it's like you're in an emergency situation or something goes wrong. Like I'm not I don't have you at 2 in the morning. I don't have you.
It's really it's
There
no,
are a
and
lot of people that are certified to
correct. I
have
was gonna say
you
like
at two in the
there are
morning.
there are jobs that there are people that have jobs that deal with this and they're supposed to deal with this.
Yeah.
Otherwise
So
you can tell me at 9 o'clock in the morning when I wake up what happened overnight, and then I will be wherever you need me to be.
what is your ideal sleep situation?
Oh, whatever I'm doing right now, which is
Wait,
like
no, okay,
like what do you
real
mean, like my
talk.
hours or
No, no,
like
no,
just
no.
like
Like if you okay, yes too. But like if you could really, really decide like to the T, like this is where I would be, this is what I would sleep on, this is like
oh
what it would be like. Do you have like an ideal sleep situation like
where I
in
would
mind of like
be,
what you would want?
like where I would be as in part of the world where I would be, or just
No, I
like
don't know. Like, is there like
honestly,
do you like when it's bright? Do you like when it's dark? Do you
Oh
want to have some
no, so
secret time in the morning? Like what?
it's funny because like that has also changed recently. I think you've known this, but like I used to sleep with like a TV on,
Yeah.
white noise situation. I don't do that
This is why we
anymore.
never did sleepovers because you were the worst person.
Oh,
And I tried to sleep
absolutely
at your house like
horrible.
once, and I was like, no, I can't do this ever again.
Horrible because like I needed something.
We're
uh,
so different.
yeah, but now no, I'm in the complete dark now. Like nothing. Like I do still am on I'm like on my phone until I fall asleep, so that really doesn't. But that's like one step than like having a TV on all night.
That's very true. Like you can, it's not just constantly
Yeah.
on.
So anyway, so I mean now it's just like complete dark from like 3 to don't wake me up before 9. 3 to 9. That's 6 hours. It's 6 hours
That
sleep.
is 6 hours.
That's 6 hours. People when people are like, you don't fall asleep till 3, I was like, yeah, and I don't go into work at 10 till 10. So like I'm getting six
Yeah,
hours
that's
sleep.
fine. You're getting you just have a different set.
But I have the reputation in the office to be like, Maria's still up to like 4 o'clock in the morning. I'm like, yeah, that's true. But I also get my 6 hours of sleep in. So I don't know why. Whatever. But
Dude.
now it's just
That's
like
like you and Dan. You and Dan are the same.
give me. I do like it when it's like colder. I hate sleeping in the heat.
Yeah, me too.
I like hate that. So like just give me like a big comforter and it's like a little bit cold but not cold enough where I'm like freezing and then 3 to 9. Thank you. So what about you? What time do you go to sleep? 10?
So I've gotten better. I can adjust. I've gotten better at like staying up to like 11 and then waking up at 5:30, which is like, I still like the 6 hours.
That's a 6 hours. Yeah.
I'm not I'm not a 6 hour sleeper. I'm a sleeper. Like I need to I need to sleep for more hours. I can adjust to 6 hours of sleep and be okay with it, but it really depends on what I'm doing for the day.
Do
If
you
I
need
like
8? Like do you need 8 at
oh,
least?
I could probably sleep for
You like a koala? Like
I honestly probably could sleep for like okay, so
do
I
koalas sleep long? I just made that up in
koalas
my
sleep for
head.
23 hours a day.
Thank you. I was like, I
22
don't
hours a
know if
day. Um
I was like, I don't know if it was koala, a sloth. I don't remember what
and it's
animal.
actually not because like they physically can't stay up longer, it's because they don't eat enough.
I was like, it's because of their diet.
They literally just eat eucalyptus and there's
And
nothing
there's just
between
nothing there.
eucalyptus and they
Literally,
literally
that
just sleep.
animal
That's all they have energy
there's
for.
their head is empty. That animal is
Yeah.
literally just there's
Totally.
nothing there.
Totally. Have you seen those beady eyes? There's nothing that
There's
exists.
they literally cling on to whatever they're holding, like the
Um,
tree, and they're just there.
yeah, like literally though, sloths move slowly but have more energy expenditure than koalas.
And koalas.
um,
Yeah. Anyways,
no, I don't think I am a koala. I think that I have a very I don't know, dude. I have a very interesting like I fluctuate all over. If I want to sleep and if I can be in a situation where I could sleep for a long time, I could easily probably sleep for 14 hours.
here's the thing too, right? Like me too. Like I'm saying, like I don't during the work week, I only need like 5,
No, I can
6.
survive off 6,
I
but
can survive at 4.
I can't do oh, good lord no.
That's
I
enough
can't
for
do
you.
it for an extended period of time.
No, I can't either. Because then I get to like a Saturday or Sunday where I sleep for 12 hours.
Yes, yeah.
And I'm like,
So
oh, I
and it's
needed sleep.
not which tells me, right, like I'm not sleeping an adequate amount then during the week.
No.
But I survive and I feel fine. It's not an issue. But by the end of it, I'm like, the second I sit down for too long, I'm game over.
Yeah, like I sometimes I wake up earlier Saturdays or Sundays because I got enough sleep throughout the week that my body's like,
Yeah,
all right, you can get up like your normal
yeah,
time
yeah.
or like
So
even
it's
earlier.
my biggest issue that I've noticed, and this is like a sensitivity thing that I have. Um, I'm and I always have been very, very sensitive to dehydration.
Okay.
So
Same.
you literally
And my
become
blood sugar.
yeah, you become the most dehydrated in your sleep.
Also, is it true? I don't know if you're gonna know this. Something again I saw online. The people that wake up constantly at like 3 o'clock or 4 o'clock in the morning is because their blood sugar is low, and your body shocks you awake. Have you
Oh
heard this?
no, mine's usually my bladder that shocks me awake because I have to pee, but I've never heard of the.
Yeah, Google it. Google it in your spare time. But that makes sense because I go to sleep sometimes starving. Stupid of me, really.
And your body's literally like, yo, if you don't feed me, bad stuff.
Or like, yo, are you alive? And it shocks you awake, and then that's when I get like when I wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning after only being asleep for like half an hour. I'm like wide awake because my body's like.
Oh, I've never had that happen. I've never heard of that.
So
I know that
now, so
like
now I
I,
do eat like a snack or whatever like a couple hours before I go to sleep, and I like sleep throughout the night. I'm like, oh, fuck, was that why?
maybe
I'm like, yeah. So
I
now
know
I.
if I don't eat enough before I go to bed, I do get waken up like early, and I have to like eat something.
Mm-hmm.
I know the same thing happens. Well, my dad is a diabetic.
Mm.
My diabetes is still like not. It is also so. My father is a type 1 diabetic, and his was a late onset when he was 30.
Oh
And
my god.
type 1 usually skips a generation,
Oh, okay.
but based on like environmental factors, it's always like it can lie dormant in your DNA, can pop up whenever. So I've
Mm-hmm.
been tested for like diabetes for forever and ever and ever. And I show all of like the signs of being a type 1 in terms of like
Yeah.
the amount of time I go to the bathroom, like cholesterol levels, all that fun stuff. So I've always like watched, like paid very close attention to my dad and being like, I wonder what if these are similarities. But my dad has to eat something at like 11 o'clock at night
Mm-hmm.
and then stay up a little bit later. Like we make fun of him. We tell him like he has midnight snacks. He literally has to
Has
eat
to.
something
Has to.
because it's been so long since he's eaten and taken his like insulin, and like he needs something overnight, or he wakes up with like the sweats and he like all the stuff that you're talking about with like your
Blood
blood
sugar
sugar
or
levels
something or whatever.
and your blood pressure. They're connected.
Yeah.
But I know he has that, so I wouldn't be surprised if like that was like an actual thing. If your blood pressure gets too low, your body is like, okay, hello, what's going on?
You
Are
want
we
to do
still alive
something?
in there? Yeah, like we should eat something. Um,
Of course, I don't listen to my body.
Mine's usually my bladder though. And that's how I know, right? If I on the days when I'm really tired, I don't wake up, and
Okay.
I wake up and I'm like, oh my god, I have to pee.
Yeah.
Um, but no, I usually don't. But so I have learned
Yeah.
over time I have to get Dan to one day take a picture of me sleeping and we can share it with everybody who watches this podcast.
Oh my god. Okay. Why are you like dead? Do you look dead?
Yes,
Oh my god.
I when I sleep, like I said, my energies like fluctuate, guys. I can be like all the way up here or like literally below zero.
Same. Yep.
And when I
Yep.
sleep, it's below zero. But I'm very specific about the way that I need to sleep. It needs to be pitch black. I agree with you on that because I'm
Yeah.
easily overstimulated by things. I also need it to be either really quiet or I need to have like some type of white
White
noise.
noise. Yeah.
And now I've gotten like the white noise is a necessity because we've had our air purifier for a couple of months now.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really good because it drowns out whatever sound. Like Dan stays up till like 2, 3 in the morning too. He's a night person.
Yeah.
Um, it drowns out whatever noise he's making or like the cats are making because if I hear anything,
Mm-hmm.
anything in my sleep, I'm awake.
Yeah. Okay.
So that's like I would like to. I tell Dan all the time that I'm really, really waiting for the day where they figure out how to put us like safely to sleep in like water baths.
Okay. Keep
Because
going.
like you know how you've seen like the sci-fi movies where like people are submerged in water and like they're still
Yeah.
alive.
Yeah.
Like water is my healing. Like water heals me. Like that's a thing that does the best for making me feel better and rejuvenated. So and because I constantly need to go to the bathroom and
Is it
constantly
also because you're a water sign? I don't quote me on this. I'm not.
I am.
Yeah.
That makes
You're
a lot of sense. I never thought about this before.
again. I'm not. I don't. I'm
I
not gonna
am
say
a
I don't.
Cancer.
I'm not gonna say I don't subscribe to astrology, but I just know the very, very,
Oh,
very
guys,
basics.
I should do way more than I actually do, but that would make a hell of a lot of sense. Good point.
Thank you.
But yeah, so I feel like my perfect scenario, and then the thought of this makes me very claustrophobic and scared that I would die instantly. But I know that my perfect scenario would
Jesus.
be like I told all of
In
this to Dan not too long
okay.
ago too.
Oh god.
Able to like float without being completely submerged in water
It's like you need.
with like as some type of source of oxygen so that I would be the one
Wait, there
person that
are,
would drown myself in a bath
but
like that. Like
there are those like water therapy. You know what I'm
I
talking
know.
about?
That's why I'm waiting for the day when they
That's
become
what you want,
real.
but in a bed.
Right. This whole conversation, I had this conversation with Dan the other day. I was like, I want them to make like water beds a thing, and he like looked at me and he was like, they are.
There are a
And I
thing,
was
but
like,
like you
no,
meant
I
like
don't mean
no,
like
no, no, no.
I mean like water
Have
beds.
you wanted a waterbed before? Like, in the 90s when it was all the rage?
Oh, totally. I had a cousin who had one. Oh my god, that was
Really?
oh god, yeah. Dan would die. Like also, like let's think about me and Dan in a waterbed, right? Like
The water
you're
displacement
a
would just be
massive
like,
guy, and I would just be like, and it
yeah,
wouldn't be anything that I wanted. He would sink, and I'd be like stuck in like the bubbly part of it. But that's like my perfect scenario. Darkness, even honestly, truthfully, if it was a waterbed, if it had like a little fountain feature, that would probably
I
really
hate
be good.
that. Fountain
Really
feature.
good, like white noise thing for me. Total
Oh,
darkness. Like with
total
the
darkness
candle.
submerged in water, so like the ocean.
No, that's like my, which is ironic, right? Because
That's
that's like
my
my
fear.
biggest fear, right?
I hate the
That's my
ocean.
biggest fear. It would need to be like a very like enough of water that I could easily escape if
Just a
necessary,
bathtub. You need
and
a
not enough that
bathtub.
I could drown myself because I would be the person to do that.
You need a shallow bathtub.
Right, correct, accurate. That's my ideal sleep, and like a nice like lukewarmy temperature in like the water and like the space. And I
Mhm.
feel like I would want, I don't know what this would be, but I feel like I would want there to be like a specific scent. Like
You're asking a lot out of this
dude, that's why I
hypothetical.
told you this is like ideal, right? Not possible in my lifetime. I feel like I'd want it to I don't know what I'd want it to smell like. I feel like I'd want it to be like a very fresh natural. Ooh, like the rainforest,
Oh,
the
okay. Like,
woods in the
okay.
morning after it rained.
There's a word to that. I can't remember what it's called. Something
Oh,
with a
really?
P. The
Huh.
smell after rain or something.
Oh,
There's words to that.
I don't know. But that's
Um,
what I would want. That's my, and I
and from what
this goes
hours are you
without saying I'd
sleeping?
want to be totally naked. This goes without saying. Like I want to be not because I
Yeah.
hate sleeping in clothes.
Can you
Um,
can you imagine like wet clothes and
right? And this is just why I feel like that was a necessary thing to add in.
yeah.
What time? I want it to be I want it to be the natural times of when the sun is setting. Like I really
Wow.
like to. I am a
You really work with the sun, don't you?
dude, I am such a natural. This is why, if for people who don't understand why Brittany like feels like she's living in the wrong time, like I am a very natural person instinctively. So I
You're
like
just
to
living in
wake
the
with the
wrong
sun.
like country, honestly.
I, I mean, do you
If you're
remember
meant
our
to,
friend from high school, Luke?
yeah.
Like we all were like,
who who doesn't from the high school?
right. First of all, nicest, most wonderful person in the world was 110% born in the wrong generation.
Oh my god, yeah.
Um, like I believed because of him at a very young age, I believed that it was true, right? That like
That people
people
were born in different centuries or
or
different.
like we come I believe in reincarnation, right? So like
Oh,
whatever life he lived in beforehand, his life was very attached to that time frame. And like when he came back, right? Like he came back with all of like the attachment still to that still for whatever reason. I
I wonder.
110% believe that like I was a child of
Yeah.
like the woods or
Ew.
like in
The woods, just like
or
a child
something. I don't know.
living in the woods.
I was a child of nature. I lived like I was a monk in a Buddhist college, whatever. Like
Whatever. What have you?
I 100% was not involved with society in whatever my past life was. Because the
Okay.
older I get, the stronger my desire to like divert is
To like just completely I don't
off the
know.
grid. Yeah.
Yeah, off the
I
grid.
would
Thank
never
you.
survive. I'll be totally like I do not have the skill set to make that a possibility, and I am
No, right.
400,000% aware of that, but my very strong innate desire to have it is highly there.
Now I wonder, I mean, not that he would ever listen to this, but Luke, if you are listening to this, apparently you're the catalyst of Brittany's whole
You
reincarnation
are. You are.
situation.
Yep. And I have so much respect for him because I really feel like I don't feel like he feels that way, which I totally respect. Um, but I feel like to to be so blatantly different and to
And to
still
like
have
to
to like
still be that,
right and to like figure it out.
especially in the school system, the school district that we were in.
Right. And we were so young. Like we were young. Like so that like I
Yeah.
had so much and he was just 100% himself and no one could not like him and he was amazing.
Here's
Um,
the thing, people did like him, right? Like people
oh
were
yeah. Everyone loved
people yeah, correct. I mean, yeah, they were just like, "Oh, Luke, like the oldtimey whatever." And people liked him.
but
And
he
but
was
part of me is like,
he
is it because
carried all of the great things that
yeah.
older generations had. And like and I think right now I think it's really important to point in like we give a lot of crap to older generations for all the terrible things that they've done, or like the terrible things that they've instilled in our society that have existed, especially like older white generations. But like the openness, the genuine kindness, the
Mhm.
like even his humor, like he brought all of those good things that we all of us being younger were like, you kind
Yeah.
of, you act like you're an older guy.
Yeah,
Um,
that's it. But he's still,
yeah, and he
yeah.
was still our age, and he was still awesome, and he still got along with everybody, and he still could like talk about relevant things, but he just had such an old soul.
Yeah. And that's all that it was, really.
Yeah, and I don't think I have an old soul. I just think that I have a very,
Not soul from this century.
I feel like I have a very like, I don't know what word to put in there, like a,
Just not from right now.
I have a not whatever the opposite of like a technologically inept, like in tune soul would be. That's what I have.
Um, yeah, I don't know the word. But just not before the digital era.
Yeah.
Whatever that was. It's like what, the 70s? Probably. 60s,
If
70s?
I could have been, this is my brain, right? I should have been,
In the 50s.
yeah, like I should have been born in the 50s so that
So you
I
can
could
grow up in
have been,
60s, 70s.
oh no, maybe it's six. I think I should have been born in the 60s. I don't know why that just saying that out loud hit somewhere. I should have been born in the 60s. Should have been a baby teen in the 70s, like a tweeny teen in the 70s.
Maybe your
The
past life you
80s would
died
have
in the
been
60s.
my, maybe the 80s would have been my jam.
Third.
Like being
Okay.
the 20s, being my 20s and being in the 80s. Would
Yeah.
be amazing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or even
Maybe.
honestly, I could have been my 30s. Maybe you're right. Maybe it is the 50s because then by now I'd be over all of this.
Yeah, you'd be like
You know,
checked
like,
out.
yeah,
Nope, you wouldn't be
I'd
a
be living
millennial.
somewhere in like a heavily wooded area in like my
That just
retirement.
scares the hell out of me. A
What?
heavily wooded area?
Not like, I
That just
don't mean like
scares
on like
me.
a like first of all, from the person who doesn't like any horror movies, like not like a like I would there would be like some other people around, but like I'd
Yeah.
live in like a Woodstock situation.
You weren't meant to be in this in this generation.
Like there would be no cell phones. I wouldn't have to call anybody,
No,
talk to
no.
anybody. I'd interact with people around me. I'd have really good connections.
You'd
I'd
just be a
share
friendly neighbor.
with
Yeah. Yeah, fair enough.
why this is why in this current century I own this mug.
My
Not just I just with coffee all over them.
Jesus. So her mug, for the people that aren't watching, says, "My favorite person is my cat."
Listen to it out loud. Sounds crazy.
And that sounds crazy. Doesn't it sound crazy?
It does sound crazy, guys. I don't. I've given up on trying to hide. I don't try. I'm so past the point of trying to hide anything about myself. It was
Oh,
funny.
who
We went to
cares?
go sit on a. I was at work and I have like a co-teacher, and we went to go like sit in on a meeting with a bunch of people that I've never met before. And they had all met each other, and I was like, oh god, like this is my
The
worst
social,
nightmare.
your anxiety is just
Right. I
revving
was
up.
like, these people all know each other, and I don't know them at all. Um,
The worst.
and I like made a comment. I was like, oh god, okay, I got to get myself together and like try to be professional for 10 seconds. She was like, you're one of the most professional people that I've ever met. It's just like you just know when to turn it on and when to turn it off, which makes it so much better. And I was like, oh, all right, cool. I can totally handle this. This is great.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
It's fine.
It's fine. It is what it is. Okay.
Well, we turned this into an episode. I don't know what the hell we talked about, but we turned this episode.
A lot of things. Just a lot of things.
We're back, guys, and we're gonna
Yeah,
do a
we're
lot
back.
more of this because Maria and I are
Back.
gonna be, yeah, gonna be us again.
Okay.
So
Yep.
either you take it or leave it.
Yeah. All right.
Alrighty, well, cool beans. Well, we've got some more guests coming up.
Mm-hmm.
Now that you know what we should do, and we should ask our peoples this. Now that we're getting to the post COVID, I was gonna try to make it like apocalypsy, but I don't like the way that word merges with
Just
that
pandemic.
one. Now we're getting towards the post that we should like start doing episodes where we go do stuff.
Oh God. Can you imagine?
I still have to go to the Asian market. We should do that first.
We should, or like, I'll just like bring stuff to you from the Asian market for you
Or
to
that
try.
works. I'm
Yeah.
thinking about what the logistics would look like of like us trying to be like fully recording.
Exactly. That's just too much for me to handle mentally. Again, which is why I could just bring you stuff.
That works, and I'll just try it. I'm down for anything.
Okay. Yeah, we'll figure this
Brittany
out.
tries blank.
Yeah, we'll figure this out and we'll workshop it.
Yeah, we'll do some fun stuff, And we want you guys to come along for the ride, and we'd love for you guys to be a part of it. So if you would love to be on an episode, or if you have a topic that you would want us to talk about,
Mm-hmm.
got a hiccup like stuck in my throat. That was really painful. If you have anything that you'd like us to talk about,
Jesus.
or you have I don't know, anything, we would
Just
love to
anything.
we want to make this about all of you and invite you into the conversation. So join us. But until then, thank you so much for listening. We're so happy to be back with you guys, and we hope you have an awesome week.
Okay, bye. Jeez.